These are 8 statistics that, once you see them, make it almost impossible to argue against retiring as early as you possibly can. Hard, documented, uncomfortable numbers that reveal what most people never bother to calculate until the window has already closed. If you are somewhere between 45 and 65 right now, the next 7 minutes might be the most useful thing you watch this week. Not because everything is fine, but because the data says it isn't. And knowing that is the first step toward actually doing something about it. Stat number 1, the median retirement savings for people your age is $185,000. And that number should alarm you. Start with the one nobody wants to look at directly. The Federal Reserve's 2022 survey of consumer finances found that the median retirement savings for Americans aged 55 to 64, the group closest to the finish line, sits at approximately $185,000. And that figure deserves a moment to sink in. Financial planners broadly recommend having between 10 and 12 times your annual salary saved by retirement, which means someone earning $60,000 a year should be sitting on somewhere between $600,000 and $720,000. The median person in that age bracket has $185,000. That isn't a gap, that is a canyon. Fanguard's 2023 How America Saves report made this even sharper when it separated two very different numbers. Because the average 401k balance across all age groups registered at $112,572, which might sound manageable. But the median, the number that actually represents the middle worker, landed at just $28,318. The average gets pulled upward by the people at the top, while the median tells the real story. None of this is meant to depress you. Every number in this section points toward the same conclusion. The gap between where people are and where they need to be is exactly what makes early aggressive action not optional, but urgent. Stat number 2, delaying your investment by 10 years can cut your final outcome nearly in half. This one runs clean and brutal in equal measure. Fidelity Investments ran the comparison between a person who starts investing at 25 versus one who starts at 35. And even when the later starter contributes more per year, the earlier investor can accumulate roughly twice as much wealth by age 65. The reason being compound interest, which operates without sentiment or mercy. $10,000 invested at age 25, earning a 7% annual real return, grows to approximately $149,745 by age 65, while that same $10,000 invested at age 35 reaches only about $76,122, and a 10-year delay cuts the result nearly in half, not through lower contributions or weaker returns, but through the simple act of waiting. The S&P 500 has historically delivered approximately 10% annually in nominal terms, or roughly 7% after inflation, across decades of market data. And that long-run record is not speculation. The rule of 72 puts this in practical terms. Divide 72 by your annual rate of return, and you get the number of years it takes for your money to double, which means at 7% real returns, your money doubles every 10.3 years. And at 10% nominal returns, every 7.2 years. Money you invest in your 40s still has time to double at least once before traditional retirement age. Possibly twice, if you stay consistent. The point here isn't that starting later makes success impossible. The point is that every single year of delay costs more than the year before it, because compound interest rewards patience and penalizes hesitation with equal precision. Stat number 3. 3 out of every 4 workers are checked out. And chances are you know exactly what that feels like. The financial numbers only tell half the story. And this is where the other half lives. Gallup's 2023 State of the Global Workplace report found that only 23% of employees worldwide report being genuinely engaged at work, which means 77%, roughly 3 out of 4 workers on the planet, are either disengaged or actively working against their employer's interests. A reality Gallup estimates drains $8.8 trillion from the global economy in lost productivity every year. Inside the United States specifically, 32% are full and part-time workers qualified as engaged, while 17% landed in the actively disengaged category, meaning nearly 1 in 5 American workers spends their days undermining the very organization paying their salary. The American Psychological Association's 2023 Work and Well-being Survey added to this picture by finding that 57% of American workers report negative impacts from work-related stress, including emotional exhaustion, loss of motivation, and a persistent desire to leave. Here is the thing. You're trading finite irreplaceable time for a paycheck. And if 57% of workers are making that trade while burned out and disengaged, then the implicit deal behind employment is paying off the way it was supposed to. The World Health Organization estimates that depression and anxiety, significantly driven by workplace stress, cost the global economy $1 trillion per year in lost productivity. And those aren't abstract accounting figures. They represent real people burning through real years in jobs that stopped giving anything back a long time ago. The case for early retirement is purely financial, because the data makes it biological and psychological as well. Stat number 4. You are healthiest right now, and that window narrows every year you stay in a high-stress job. This is the statistic that tends to land the hardest, because it is the most personal. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that Americans spend, on average, the last 12 years of their life in poor health or with meaningful disability. And that is not an edge case. That is the average American experience at the end of life. Layer on the longevity data from the Social Security Administration, S2023 actuarial tables, which show that a 65-year-old man today can expect to live to 84.3 and a 65-year-old woman to 86.7, giving the average person retiring at 65 roughly 20 years ahead of them, with approximately 12 of those years carrying significant health limitations. Retire at 65 and you might have 8 genuinely active, healthy years. Retire at 55 and that number climbs to around 18. And that difference isn't small, because those are the years when you can actually use freedom. A 2017 study published in the British Medical Journal, drawing on data from nearly 3,000 Shell Oil employees, found that people who retired at 55 carried a 37% lower risk of dying than those who retired at 65, even after researchers accounted for differences in baseline health status. Chronic workplace stress connects directly to elevated cortisol, which the National Institute on Aging links to cardiovascular disease, immune suppression, and cognitive decline over time. Your body runs a continuous accounting of every high-stress year, and the balance sheet has real consequences. Stat number 5. Your retirement target isn't a lot of money. It is a specific number you can actually calculate. One of the biggest traps in retirement planning is thinking about it in vague, paralyzing terms. Phrases like, "I need a lot," or "I'll probably just work until I die," when the actual math has been solved and sitting in academic literature since 1998. That year, 3 professors at Trinity University in Texas, Philip Cooley, Carl Hubbard, and Daniel Walls, published what became known as the Trinity Study, finding that retirees who withdraw 4% of their portfolio annually carry a high historical probability of not outliving their money across a 30-year retirement period. The practical translation runs simply: someone living on $40,000 a year needs $1 million saved. Someone living on $60,000 a year needs $1.5 million. And the formula in every case is annual expenses multiplied by 25. A critical caveat applies here for anyone planning an early exit, because the 4% rule was designed for a 30-year window, and retiring at 50 with plans to live to 90 stretches that window to 40 years, which is why many financial planners recommend early retirees target a 3% to 3.5% withdrawal rate instead, translating to roughly 33 times annual expenses rather than 25. But here is the thing: what this framework actually delivers is a target, a real number you can work toward rather than an endless fog of financial dread. And that shift alone changes how you approach every financial decision between now and the day you leave. Stat number 6, your job costs you more than you've ever calculated. And the true number is jarring. Work costs money, real money, and most people go their entire careers without sitting down to calculate how much. The AAAS 2023, Your Driving Costs Street, UD put the average expense of owning and operating a new vehicle at $12,182 per year, over $1,000 every single month. And a significant portion of that figure exists because of the commute, the parking, and the daily wear the job demands from the car. The US Bureau of Labor Statistics 2022 Consumer Expenditure Survey found that the average American household spends approximately $10,961 per year on transportation, with a large share tied directly to getting to and from work. And once you factor in work clothing, convenience food purchase because there is no time or energy to cook, and the stress-driven spending that piles up from needing to decompress, after a brutal week, the true cost of employment looks very different from the gross number on a pay stub. Vicky Robin and Joe Dominguez introduced the concept of life energy in their 1992 book, Your Money or Your Life, which has sold over 1 million copies. And their framework asks a genuinely uncomfortable question. What is your true hourly rate? Calculated not from your salary, divided by 40 hours, but from your take-home pay after every job-related expense, divided by every hour spent working, commuting, recovering, and mentally replaying the workday. For a lot of people, when that calculation gets done honestly, the number that comes out reshapes everything about how they think about their career. Stat number 7, healthcare will cost more than you've planned for. And more is an understatement. Of all the practical obstacles that derail early retirement plans, healthcare dismantles more of them than anything else. And the numbers explain why. Fidelity Investments' 2023 estimate found that the average 65-year-old couple retiring in 2023 needs approximately $315,000 saved specifically for healthcare costs, retirement, and that figure doesn't touch long-term care. Genworth Financial's 2023 cost of care survey found the median annual cost of a private room in a nursing home runs $108,405. Assisted living comes in at $64,200 per year, and a home health aide averages $61,076 annually. Costs that accelerate precisely when the portfolio needs to last the longest. Medicare doesn't begin until age 65, which means anyone retiring before that birthday needs to fund their own health insurance entirely. And the Kaiser Family Foundation S 2023 Employer Health Benefits Survey found that the average annual premium for employer-sponsored family coverage reached $23,968 in 2023, with workers paying an average of $6,575 and employers absorbing the rest. Retire early and the employer subsidy disappears, leaving the full premium on your side of the ledger. The well-documented good news inside this otherwise difficult picture is that the ACA marketplace offers income-based subsidies that can substantially reduce premiums for early retirees who structure their income carefully. A legal and widely used strategy that changes the healthcare math considerably when planned for in advance. Healthcare isn't a footnote in an early retirement plan. It is a major line item that needs real numbers, real research, and years of preparation before the resignation letter gets written. Stat number 8. The average worker will earn $2.5 to $3 million over a career and retire with almost none of it intact. This last one deserves a long pause. The US Census Bureau's 2023 current population survey put the median household income at approximately $74,580 in 2022, and across a 40-year career, the average American worker passes somewhere between $2.5 million and $3 million through their hands in total lifetime wages. And yet, as established at the very beginning of this video, the median retirement savings for someone aged 55 to 64 sits at $185,000. Where the rest goes is lifestyle spending, lifestyle creep, debt, and 1,000 small decisions made without any long-term framework to anchor them, because the US personal savings rate hovered around just 3.6% in late 2023, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, which on a $74,580 household income translates to roughly $2,685. At that rate, compound interest barely has room to work before the money is needed. And this is where it gets instructive, because Pete Adeny, better known as Mr. Money Mustache, retired at 30 in 2005 on a software engineer's income that was comfortable but not extraordinary, while Christy Shen and Bryce Long retired at 31 in 2015 with roughly $1 million saved fine by end, now cover annual expenses of around $40,000 to $50,000 from their portfolio. Traveling the world, and Grant Sabatier went from $2.26 in his bank account to over $1 million in 5 years, walking away from work at age 30. None of these people won a lottery or inherited a fortune. They directed the same dollars that millions of other workers earned and spent toward a higher savings rate, a lower expense base, and a consistent long-term investment strategy instead. The IRS currently allows contributions of up to $23,000 per year to a 401k and $7,000 to an ERA, with additional catch-up contributions available for those 50 and older, and most people leave those limits untouched every single year. 8 statistics, and every one of them points in the same direction. The $185,000 median savings crisis that leaves most workers desperately underprepared. The 10-year delay that cuts a retirement portfolio nearly in half. The 77% global disengagement rate that tells you most of the workforce has already mentally left. The 12 years of declining health waiting at the end of life. The 25 times F formula that converts vague financial dread into an actual target. The hidden employment costs that erode your true hourly rate in ways most people never bother to measure. The $315,000 healthcare reality that blindsides people who didn't T-plan for it. And the $2.5 to $3 million in lifetime earnings that most workers pass through their hands and retire with almost none of it saved. None of these numbers exist to discourage you. Every single one of them rewards people who move early, save with intention, invest consistently, and get specific about what they want the back half of their life to actually look like. Time is the one resource that doesn't refill, and every year of delay in this equation costs more than the year before it. If you want to go deeper on any one of these, the 4% rule, aka healthcare strategies, or how to calculate your specific FIRE number, drop it in the comments, and that becomes the next video.